How does an AI model that once demanded hundreds of brilliant minds now get built with a fraction of that team? Well, on today's episode, I'm going to invite you to explore with me this fascinating shift in the world of AI with my guest GT, who is the Managing Director for AI and Data Services. And my guest's career has spanned guiding executives through data and analytics transformations across industries as diverse as media, retail, to life sciences. But today, he's going to explain how smarter chip designs, refined algorithms, and the rise of open source tools have actually dramatically lowered the barriers to building large language models, all of which is setting the stage for a new wave of efficiency. And it's continuing to gain momentum. But what does this mean for every sector? I want to learn more about my guest's approach to everything from cloud solutions, trust and safety, AI-powered automation, and how this isn't just about faster models. It's actually about what organizations can achieve when cutting-edge AI is paired with clear governance and human oversight. So as you listen today, please consider this. How ready is your business today to put these new efficiencies into work, to solve problems that you once thought were completely impossible? Hold that thought, because now it's time for me to officially introduce you to my guest. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
My name is Gagan Tandon, or I go by GT, and I lead the global data and AI services for TELUS Digital, which are leaders in the CX space across the world.
Well, there's so much I'm excited to talk with you about today, because it's been said that if OpenAI were to launch ChatGPT 4 today, it would only take 5 people, which is a stat that just completely blew my mind. So what has changed in AI development to make that kind of efficiency possible?
Yeah. And I think this is something that everybody is trying to grapple with too, that how could that be possible? Like a $1 billion company can be started with just 4 or 5 people. And I think it sometimes it helps to kind of see the chronological order and how the whole LLM universe started to come about. Earlier, we were still working with a lot of research. There was people that needed to do research on how do you actually design transformers and optimizers and so on. There were engineering teams that were doing a lot of work in making sure those models are generating those responses. There was infrastructure required. There was safety guardrails required. But now I think as the world has moved on, there is a lot of modularization that has happened over time, where now you can actually modularize how you actually ingest data, how you actually train data, or how do you actually make the compute distributed. So all that modularization work has happened, which means that the new teams can just pick up the modules and start running with it. So now you are not actually reinventing the wheel, and hence you can just stand on top of all those wheels and start to drive or train. And then I think there is a lot of, the other thing is around platformization of research itself. Like earlier, the transformers had to be almost written from scratch, but now you are already using the transformers from OpenAI or other companies and just standing on top of it and building your own use cases. So there is definitely, it's like that initially you were trying to design a plane, but now the spare parts are already available. You just pick up those spare parts and start to fly, right? And I think that's where that's the analogy probably might resonate best with this kind of speed.
And I'm curious, from everything that you're seeing here, how have you seen advancements in AI chip design and algorithm efficiency? Have you seen this help reduce the cost and indeed the complexity of training large language models? Have you seen any big changes here?
Yes. And something to kind of note, I mean, we all know about Moore's law, that every few years the chip's performance goes up. But also earlier, the chips were not predisposed to actually doing those matrix multiplications that AI requires. So all of AI is based on some matrix, some math happening in the back. And earlier, the math the chips were not designed to handle that. So there was a lot of wastage of time, energy, cost, compute, everything else. But now, after NVIDIA has come up with the chips that can actually specifically design for those matrix multiplications, now that the chips are doing the job much better than they were supposed to do earlier. And again, along with that, you can add how chips are connecting to each other, what is the high-speed memory access. So all of this is contributing to kind of helping the AI perform better. And plus, the algorithms have become much faster now, right? I mean, every day there is some research that gets churned out where they have now refined the algorithm. Now the algorithm can actually do those computations faster. So all of this, when you combine this, I mean, and it will continue to do, they will continue to go on that path where the chips will become much faster, algorithms will become more refined, specific algorithms. And this will continue to drive down the costs and the complexity. No doubt, in my mind.
And another big change we're seeing is open source software is now playing a much, much bigger role in AI development. And as a result of that, how are you seeing enterprise teams balancing speed and control and security, etc.?
Yeah, and open source is a great tool to actually conduct research. So when you are starting off trying to understand what use case is possible, what is the art of the possible, open source can kind of remove those guardrails, and you can run with, experiment it, and come back with what the promise that you want to deliver. But when you want to actually productionize it, that's where you want hardened code components which have been tested, reliable. There is established communities of practice that have done the work on those code components. So the way that companies are going after, and not many, but some companies are, where you want to use open source for experimentation, develop pilots, POCs to understand what is the promise. And then once you have identified the promise, then you move to a little bit of a hardened governance structure around, even if you do use open source, what are the governance structures around it? What is the data residency requirements? What is the, in terms of the code transferability requirements that you need to adhere to? So I do believe there is a space for open space, but you have to kind of take it a little bit cautiously there.
And before you came on the podcast today, I was doing a little research on you, and I was reading how that you've mentioned in the past that some of the efficiencies that we're talking about here can be best applied to industries like healthcare and finance, etc. So are you able to offer some examples of where you've already seen this making a big impact?
Absolutely. And some of the examples, we are working with some of the clients actually. So in healthcare, there is a lot of need around clinical summarization of the documents, right? There's a lot of documents that can get generated from the hospitals, from different healthcare centers. And you want to create a summary that can be consumed by their doctor or by nurses or by other healthcare practitioners. So that's where the GenAI can actually be used to deliver that use case. The other ones are around claims processing, right? Understanding what criteria that should be applied for verifying a claim or even reimbursing a certain claim. So a lot of companies are already applying GenAI. There is one close friend of mine who's actually working on something very cool around GenAI around cancer research, and which is, I know it is already very talked about, but people are doing GenAI in every place possible in healthcare practice. And in finance, it has been, again, I mean, because of the lot of data and regulatory compliance, GenAI can actually ingest the regulatory compliance rules, understand where the compliance is not met, alert the right stakeholders on what needs to be done. So it is now so pervasive that it is hard to see where it is not making an impact.
And I think we're also starting to see a lot of maturity around all things AI, and it's beginning to move from those pilot projects to real world implementation now. So what are some of the biggest barriers that still need to be overcome in enterprises to get these projects out there and into real world implementation?
Yeah, great question. And because that's where many of the companies are actually starting to kind of realize how to actually generate value out of these AI use cases, right? And the few of the barriers are, one is the data itself. Sometimes the quality of the data that is needed to train these AI solutions is not there. You need to kind of get that hardening of the data quality in your ecosystem to deliver that use case. The second is around the talent, right? I mean, which is who are the people that you are hiring or bringing on board to actually work with the data, build AI models, build Gen AI structures on top of it? Do you have the right talent to do it? And the third one is around the leadership enablement. And there is a lot of championship needed by the leaders to actually go after AI use cases. And what we are seeing is that there is some education needed for the leaders to understand where AI can deliver the most value and how you should actually set up a governance structure in the organization so that you are not going all chaotic on every time there's a person comes up saying that, hey, I have a very cool AI idea. And then there's another pop that happens on your email a few days later. So how do you make sense of what is the right AI initiative to go after? So there is some enablement required across the leadership.
And on this daily tech podcast, I always say technology works best when it brings people together. And I often think that this gets lost when we're talking about AI. But one of the reasons I was excited to get you on the podcast today is because at TELUS Digital, you talk about humanity in the loop principle. So tell me more about this and how you actually embed those exact values into your work with generative AI and automation.
Yeah. So at TELUS Digital, because of the work that we do, because we are a big CX organization where we provide services to customers across the world, it is extremely important that the content that you generate or when you show to your agents or to your stakeholders is something that is within the boundaries of bias and ethics and everything else, right? So we have set up working groups, two working groups. One is around the governance, AI governance working group within TELUS and TELUS Digital, which actually identifies what are the different AI trends that are happening. What do we need to, what different policies and governance structures that we need to establish to make sure that every time we build out an AI solution, those governance structures are applied to. And the second thing that we have also done is around trust and safety, which we have modularized in a way where if you are doing an AI initiative where you are ingesting external data or even internal data, how do you actually make sure that there is no hallucinations happening and the humans have to go back and check and make sure that the results are coming across as respectful to the audience that it is being targeted to. So all of that work gets set up in those two working groups.
And as you said there, TELUS and TELUS Digital, you provide this next-gen digital customer experience solutions for global and indeed disruptive brands around the world. So at a time where there is AI everywhere and so much noise in this space and so many enterprises that are beginning to chase ROI on those expensive tech projects, tell me more about what you offer and what you think makes you stand out in this space.
Yeah. So we solve some of the hardest problems in AI. And the reason I say that is that one is that we have a flagship product called FuelIX, which is an enterprise chat GPT kind of a platform, enterprise Gen AI LLM platform, which allows you to kind of work with different models, but also work with a lot of unstructured and structured data across the organization. And to make sense of all that data together is not a very easy problem to solve. So that's where we stand out is that we have worked with the data entities before. We understand how to actually analyze structured data. Now we bring the unstructured data that we can analyze from your organization and bring that together and build insights from. We have worked on some of the cool case studies like on agronomy, where we for a certain credit rating agency who wanted to analyze loans for farmers, they wanted to do a remote analysis of all their plots and agricultural lands to understand the crop yield. So we analyze the satellite data for remote areas and provided them what will be the crop yield by season, annual crop yield, and so on. And those are some of the very hard problems that have been executed by our groups here.
And I suspect when you scroll down your newsfeed, you see many, many different articles around digital transformation, AI, agentic AI, and so many other different things that might frustrate you. So are there any myths or misconceptions around the technology that we're seeing in our newsfeeds today that we can maybe retire or finally lay to rest? Any big myths out there that you see?
I think the biggest myth is that AI is going to kind of destroy humanity. That kind of a myth is, I think, overblown. And plus AI will take away every job that is out there. And then what will we be left doing? Are we going to just cook food for us? Is that all we are left with? And I don't believe it either, because even if you go back into industrial revolution, and when the locomotive train started, at that time people felt that, oh, what will happen to the people who are driving horse carriages, or the and I mean, those yes, the horse carriage business did die down, no doubt. But what happened was that the industry pulled all of that mass into the locomotive industry, pull of that all of that mass, either from them or from somewhere else, into that industrial revolution itself, right? So now you have people who are working on trains, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, working on trains, platforms, and all the infrastructure that goes along with the trains. So, and the same thing is happening with AI. I mean, AI has spawned an industry itself of building those new algorithms to refine them, operationalizing those AI initiatives. So there is work that will continue to build on top of it, and I don't see that it is going to. I mean, yes, new job descriptions will happen, but it won't take away it won't just suddenly retire the entire humanity.
Yeah, 100% with you. And I think we've been here many times before, had very similar scary stories when computers entered offices and typewriters were going. The arrival of the internet, mobile apps, cloud, and obviously now AI. And I'm curious, looking ahead, what do you think businesses should be thinking about as they scale their AI efforts, not just here in 2025, but 2026 and beyond? What should they be thinking about? Because you probably see a lot of mistakes that businesses make as well. So what should they be thinking about?
I think the mistakes are being made right now, and I think those are the mistakes that need to be addressed. One is that invest in your data and AI strategy. Understand what initiatives are going to give you the biggest ROI, rather than just jumping into any AI initiative that suddenly comes up on your email radar. They need to make sure that they are investing in build versus buy very thoughtfully, right? I mean, not every build decision is a good one, not every buy decision is a good one, but you need to understand that where would that make more sense. So I think organizations, the more they come to the terms with how the technology is evolving, it is still better that to experiment with the new technology rather than just stay silent. And I would say that the companies should still continue to do that.
And on a personal level, what is it that excites you about this space? Everything that's happening now, where we're heading. Every tech leader say this is an amazing time to be alive. It's an exciting time to be alive. I'm curious, what excites you and what makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning?
I think the one thing that makes me really excited about the AI side is that how is LLM gets compared with the human brain and the thinking process behind each of them. I feel that there's a lot of discussion that happens on LinkedIn and all this media podcasts about, hey, have LLMs become smarter than us? Or maybe they have, right? And that's what piques my intellectual curiosity as I get up in the morning and I said, okay, what is new happening in this world, right? What are people talking about in this, right? And then that also informs my like the way when we go back into the use case discussions with our clients, we know what is possible, what is not. And that's what I think the biggest journey that we all will probably uncover as we go forward on that.
And I think for myself and everybody listening, we all feel this pressure to be in a state of almost continuous learning. But you're beyond that. You're someone that's leading the way here. So I'm curious, how do you self-educate, and how do you keep up to speed with all the latest tech trends, all the latest developments? Anything you can share there around how you self-educate?
Yeah, and again, use AI, right? So there are some AI crawlers that can actually crawl the AI news articles across the last week, and obviously they will understand which ones have generated the most attention, have a little bit more kick into their topic, and you use that to kind of inform, somewhat stay close to how this space is evolving. So. And then there are books that keep coming up, and I think there are some very strong technical papers that companies like Apple and Anthropic and OpenAI keep publishing, which are very on the edge of innovation, which will inform that, okay, where is this entire AI space is heading. So, I mean, that's where you get the most out of your reading.
I love that. And for anybody listening wanting to find out more information about TELUS Digital, everything that you do, the developments that you've got going on, and anything at all, where would you like to point them?
Yeah, one is our LinkedIn, TELUS Digital website, and the LinkedIn itself for TELUS Digital and VeloTree apps, and that provides a lot of information.
I'll get links added to everything that you mentioned there to make it nice and easy for people to find you. And just from my side, just a big thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today and discuss why you believe the trends that we're seeing now will continue, but also how these efficiencies can be applied to tackle some of the most pressing industries in pressing issues in industries like healthcare, financial services, supply chain management and beyond, but also keeping the human in the loop. A powerful moment to end on. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot, Neil. It was good talking to you. Thank you.
So what new possibilities did you hear today, whether it be applying AI efficiencies in your own organisation? Or was there something else that caught your attention? I think my guest offered a powerful look at how the AI development cycle is shrinking, not just in cost, but in complexity, and largely thanks to hardware and algorithmic advances that few could have predicted even a few years ago. It was also good to unpack how these giants extend beyond building language models, creating opportunities to tackle pressing challenges in healthcare, financial transactions, and create more resilient supply chains. And I think TELUS Digital's commitment to pairing innovation with human responsibility shines through that humanity in the loop principle. And how they're helping enterprises move out of that desperate pilot phase and into production, into real-time implementation, but without losing trust or control. And I think it's clear that the next wave of AI success won't be driven solely by technology, but how responsibly and how creatively that their leaders can deploy it. That is what will create that lasting value. But as we wrap up today's episode, think about the bottlenecks that are slowing down your AI projects and keeping them stuck in pilot phase. And ask yourself, with new tools, with smarter strategies, with better partnerships, what breakthroughs could your team genuinely offer tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? Let me know your thoughts. techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. And remember, also visit TELUS Digital Solutions. I'll include links to everything to make that nice and easy. But looking forward to hearing from you. And I'm also looking forward to speaking with you again very soon. So hit the refresh on that button and I'll be right back with you. Speak with you all then. Bye for now.